open for today. So it is March 29th, 2021. Welcome to Teaching Fishing Coffee Hour. March did come in like a lamb and it's going to go out a little bit like a lion. Looks like some cold weather coming up this week. Going to maybe alter my plans. I was planning on going down to Detroit maybe Thursday, get the boat in and go fishing, but down in Detroit looking like a high of 34 or 35 on Thursday with really cold temps in the morning, 27, 28. So I don't know. We'll figure something out. So there you go. Craig says, this is a question I'm gonna pass on to my salmon guys. Craig says, boop, boop, boop. Okuma GLT or Shimano TDR for salmon? I think that's for rods. I think I'm gonna answer a rod question. I won't answer a reel question because I don't know enough about all the reel options. But every salmon steelhead fishing trip I've done and all the stuff that I have is all Shimano. So I've been extremely happy with the TDR stuff, and a lot of the charters that I've been on I see a lot of Shimano TDR stuff. So I would tell you from the limited experience I have with my stuff, and from what I see on charter boats, the Shimano TDR stuff for sure. Okay, so Lauren, oops, let's go back up here. Let me get a few little comments before I start going here. Good question there. Beautiful. Yeah, the moon was awesome this morning. Matt's here from Slow Trolling Inc. Good to see you. Jimmy says, my left Saturday service temp went from 39 at Frank's to 57. See, I told you that when I was coming up from Flint. I had the window cracked. And all of a sudden I got a little south of limit. Actually, I got off. I think when I got off on M13, I'm like, holy moly. I left Flint here. It was like 52, 53 degrees when I left Flint about 11 in the morning. And by the time I got to Frank's, it was like 38. I'm like, holy moly, what the heck just happened? There was definitely a thermocline, as Jim said. I'm sure he felt it on the motorcycle. Stevie Weiss, good morning, Weissy. Good morning, Tom Cease. Okay, Lauren says, is there an easy way to remember port versus starboard? There is. There's a very, I'm going to tell you the way I learned it and the way I remember it. So you have port and you have starboard. Port has the least amount of letters. Starboard has more letters. There's left and right. Left has less letters than right. So left is port. Then when you remember the lights, red has less letters than green, so red is the port side. So it's the smaller of the three words. So left, right, port, starboard, red, green. So left, port, red are the smaller of the two words when you look at those three things: the color, the direction, and the actual nautical term. So that's how I remember it. Port, left, red, starboard, right, green. That's how I remember it. So if there's an easier way to remember it, if you guys have an easier way that you remember it, let us know. But that's how I remember it. Now, another little trick I learned, a guy taught me one time, actually my Coast Guard guy taught me the first time, when in 1988, I bought a 16-foot Lund Pro V, and I knew I was going to be going to Saginaw Bay, so I took like a 7 or 8 week Coast Guard safe boating class with a friend of mine. And we were talking about buoys, right? Red and green and cans and nuns and all that stuff. So he taught me a really cool trick. If you want to remember the buoys, just think of 7-Up. So 7-Up, right, comes in a green can, and it's an odd number. So that's how you remember that the green cans are odd, and the green buoys are odd numbered, and they're can buoys. So just think of a can of 7-Up. 7 is an odd number, and 7-Up comes in a green can. So can buoys are green, and they have odd numbers. So that's kind of how I remember that. And there's still days I'm driving down the river or lake, and I see a buoy, and I think of that. So there you go. So hopefully that helps. Matt's got GLTs, so there you go. I've never used a GLT. I have TDRs on my boat, and most of the salmon charters I've been on are TDRs, so that would be my recommendation. Good morning. Good to see everybody. I hope that helped, Lauren. Lauren also asked, good question, that he has seen kicker motors on both the port and starboard side of the boat, and what is the rule? The rule is whatever works best on your boat. I always put my kicker on the starboard side, always, because if I'm on the starboard side and I'm fishing, I'm standing behind my driver's seat, my sonar's in front of me, right? I got my sonar, I got my GPS, I got all my controls in front of me, rod holder, and I turn around and there's my kicker motor. I don't like walking from side to side for my stuff. I can literally fish in a footprint on the boat about that big, right? I can reach back and grab my kicker. I can come forward and adjust my GPS. It's all right there. I like my kicker. I like my kicker on the starboard side. Now, because the way my boat is laid out, on the starboard side of my boat, now I have my kicker. Obviously, that's where I sit, and I'm a little chunkier than I should be. And I've got 2 batteries and a charger on my starboard side of my boat. So adding that kicker makes the boat kind of do a little cant. The beauty of my Polarcraft is the live well is on the left side of the boat in the back. So what that does is that I always throw my live well, even if I'm not going to put fish in it, and it just kind of offsets the balance of the boat. But I like my kicker on the starboard. Some guys like it on the port. They say they get a cleaner sonar picture. A kicker motor shouldn't affect your sonar because it's behind it, so you shouldn't really see any issue with your sonar. Even with your kicker really running fast, you shouldn't see too much of that. Some guys put it on the port side because of the balance. You know, some boats you get too much stuff on the starboard side, but you know, a good quality boat that's built nice and heavy. You know, even though my Polarcraft does, you can tell it is a little bit, but once I fill the live well, it evens right out. But I like mine on the starboard because now everything is right in one spot. I don't have to move side to side because usually when you're trolling, right, I fish on my side of the boat, which is the driver's side of the boat, the starboard side of the boat, and I got another guy. So now I got a guy towards the back of the boat. I want to adjust the kicker. I got to move him out of the way. I just like everything right there. So it's definitely a preference, Lauren. I don't think there is no rule of thumb. Personal preference. So again, let us know what you guys like. Matt, that's a great point, Matt. He's talking about the Okuma GLT rods. Matt says, I like the triangle forward grip. It fits in your hand and keeps the reel. I like that idea, Matt. You know what? I never thought about that. I know I tried the Okuma trolling rods with the triangle grip and I didn't like it. But now that you say that, I have a lot of charter customers, especially people with small hands, that the Denali's I use twist. I like the idea. So there, see, Matt, look at that. A little bit of conversation got me thinking something. I like that, Matt. Thank you. So, see, now I don't care if you disagree with me. Actually, sometimes I hope you do because I don't have all the answers. But disagree with me with disagree with me with facts, and we both may learn something. So I just learned something from Matt. It just made me think a little bit. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Roy Miller says, rigged in Minnesota, the kicker will be on the starboard side. And again, I think it's the same thing, right? I think that's, everything, all the control stuff's on one side of the boat. That's just how I like it. Mike says, driver of the boat is usually on the right. He's the star for starboard, plus he has the green. If you own a boat, you probably don't have a lot of money. That's probably part of the issue. Gooch, good morning. So Lauren, I answered your question about that. Yeah, I don't see any. I don't see any interference. So again, I think it's all preference. It's all preference. Corey says, isn't there something about the direction of the prop turning and transducer placement? Absolutely, there is. So that's why we like your transducer on the starboard side, because the big prop, as it turns, it creates cavitation, creates air bubbles. If you put your transducer on the starboard side, the cavitation is coming off the top of the big engine prop. So now the air is on top of the prop. If you put your transducer on the port side and the big engine is turning, that cavitation is coming to the bottom of the transducer and actually can cause some issues. Kicker should make a difference because the kicker is behind the transducer. So all the dirty water from the kicker is behind the transducer, so the transducer is in clean water first. Lawrence, the reason I asked, I'm getting ready to install a new boarding ladder. I always had kicker on the port side, but looking at changing to starboard and ladder to port. That's what I have. I have my kicker on the starboard, my ladder on the port. That's how I've always done it. Jeff says when he ordered his boat, manufacturer asked what side, personal preference. And I'll tell you the other thing, usually in most of the boats that I have seen, if you order a second fuel pickup for your kicker, it seems to almost always be the second one always seems to be on the starboard side of the boat. Because the main seems to be over there, and then the other one, the main pickup always seems to be off to the starboard, and then the one they add is always further to the outside, so that puts the fuel line pickup over there too. Arlo says the Crestliner Sportfish is actually designed for a kicker motor on the port, so they got no choice. Yeah, it's all personal preference. I just like for me, it was easy. All my stuff, one row, I didn't have to move. Pretty simple. Okay, let's talk a little bit. Saturday, I had a good day up at Frank's. Went to Frank's and did a Detroit River Jigging Seminar. Really cool. Saw a lot of you guys there. That was neat. Thank you for coming up. Those of you who stopped by, that was fun. Sold lots of rods, some jigs. Had a good time. Boy, it was really good to get in front of people and just talk. And, Frank's was about 50-50 with mask. I know a lot of people just never had one on. Some people had them on and would take them off. And there were people that had them on fully the whole time. And that's the way it should be. John says, looking at taking the plunge and buying a new center console, multiple motors. I still like the transducer on the starboard side because chances are, the other reason the starboard side is better, if you do fish alone, right, you can, if the boat isn't heavy enough or balanced enough, if you do fish alone, you can actually lift the port side of the boat a little bit when you're driving the boat. Center console wouldn't really matter, but starboard side is my choice. Now, my pontoon, because of the way the pontoon's designed, transducer's on the port side, and it works good. So my preference is starboard for transducer, starboard for kicker, but would I sit here and tell you it matters? No, I don't think it matters at all. Whatever you're comfortable with. So Saturday went good. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, Larry Kammer. I haven't seen him this morning, but big thank you to him. My stress level was about, scale of 1 to 10 was about a 15 yesterday. Trying to get ready for this. Chris McCulley, again, thank you to him. Huge thank you to him. I took my boat over to Larry Kammer's because he has a garage inside that I don't have, obviously. Chris and Larry got my boat ready to go. My old boat, I went to Iowa to got it ready to go. Larry pulled it over here yesterday, and Larry spent, 5 hours over here helping me sort jigs and plastics. I got all my tackle ready to go. I got to pick up a couple rods Tuesday when I run up north. Get my boat inspected. But Larry was here, helped me sort my tackle, got all my jigs and all my plastics in order, label all my boxes, helped me make a list, and we got everything together out of the garage, my 2 garages and the office. We got everything together for the boat, so all the life jackets are together. All the stuff I gotta have is there. So Larry spent 5 hours over here of his weekend helping me get ready. And my stress factor, like I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, it started yesterday at about a 15. By the time Larry left, it was down to about a 9, which for me is still pretty darn good. So thank you, Larry. Thank you, Chris. Chris McCulley just put an answer here about transducer. Thank you, Chris, for all your effort of getting me ready. I really appreciate it very, 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 very much. Chris said, try to avoid transducer being directly, okay, in front of the kicker. Yeah, I've seen some issues at high speeds, which is likely vibration. Yeah, more vibration than cavitation. But if you have your transducer in the right place, it's usually inboard of your kicker. So there you go. Arlo says, I forgot to mention I joined the dark side. Offshore planer boards with title flags instead of the big boards. It's about time, Arlo. Good thing you finally learned how to fish. So Arlo's been a big board guy. It'd be interesting because he does a lot of fishing. He does a lot of walleye fishing. He does a lot of salmon fishing. It'd be really cool, Arlo, to see you kind of your thoughts on the process of switching from big boards to small boards. Now, I know Arlo runs a lot of divers, and there is this, if I ran a lot of divers, if a diver program was a big part of what I did, salmon fishing, or even walleye fishing, actually, if good-sized divers were part of my program, big boards would definitely be an option. So there's a place for both. But I'd be curious to see Arlo's thoughts on transitioning from big to small, and when he uses both. Right now, he's got both. Like he said, his last sentence is perfect. Right, another tool in the box. So be curious to see when he uses each one of those, and his feelings on using one versus the other, and how it works out. So Arlo, keep us informed of that. Jim says, sounds like Larry is the new Duncan. Yeah, honestly, it's taking about 4 people to obviously replace Duncan, but I have a group of friends that go above and beyond what a friend should do, and I appreciate every single one of them. They listen to me complain, they listen to me holler, they kick me in the ass and tell me to get going. They take care of things that I don't have to take care of. They make sure that things are done. They remind me to get things done. And they're just there. And some ride their motorcycle a long way to come see me talk. So I have a lot of friends, and I am so thankful for all of that. So, yeah, it's impossible to replace Duncan, but I got a lot of people who are coming in and being those people. And I hope I'm someone's Duncan. I hope that I'm giving back also. Johnson's another salt question. Any idea how a wire leader impacts dive curves? I don't think at all, John. Short wire leader, I don't think impacts it enough to even worry about it, to be honest with you. Frankie said, there's something else I wanted to talk about today. What the heck? Frankie says, should everyone in the boat use the same weight jig? No, they should not. Great question. Frank says, should everyone in the boat use the same weight jig to help stay vertical? Absolutely not. The guy driving the boat should use the lightest jig that he can get away with. 3/4. So my rule is I fish 3/4, everybody else in the boat fishes 1. The guy in the front has to stay vertical. That's his job. He has one job. The guy running the motor has one job, keep his jig vertical. He's not responsible for you in the back staying vertical. That's your job. That means you can't just drop your rod and go, I'm not vertical. You got to walk around, right? You may be on one side of the motor, and as the current shifts or the wind blows, you may be on the other side of the motor. You may be up towards the front. You may have to walk around the other side as the boat turns. If you're not in the front, you need to move to stay vertical. My job on the front of the boat is to stay vertical. I use a lighter jig. The guy driving the boat uses a lighter jig than everybody else in the boat does. So no, everybody should not use the same size. The guy in the front should use the lightest jig, and then everybody else should use heavier. And again, those guys that aren't on the front, you have to move. You can't stand in the corner and go, I'm not vertical, as your line's going underneath the boat. Well, you just need to walk to the other side of the boat. It's not my job as the boat driver to keep you vertical. It's my job to keep me vertical, and then you use a heavier jig and you move yourself around, and you stay vertical. That's why when I get a charter, I see guys all the time that have one guy in a certain part of the boat, maybe it's the back starboard corner, whatever the case may be, and that guy's catching all the fish, and they're like, what color are you using? Don't worry about color he's using. Next time we stop, go get in his spot. Because there's something about the way the boat drifts. There will be, almost every day, there will be a hot corner in that boat. It may be the guy in the port corner, the starboard corner, maybe a guy fishing in the passenger seat, or maybe the guy on the port side of the front deck that comes up with me and fishes right in front of the windshield. There's going to be a hot spot every day in the back based on how the boat is drifting and how the jigs are going downstream. So If a guy's got 4 or 5 more fish than you do, don't ask him what color he's using. Get over to his spot. Knock him over. Put him over there. Switch sides. Get where he's fishing. There's something about the way that boat is drifting. That makes a huge difference. Benny says, let's go down here. Fished the St. Clair River last weekend. First trip out of the year with the boat. Always hoping everything works as it did. When I put it away, went great. Big relief. Yeah, that first trip is always a little bit of pucker factor. Good to hear, Ben. Arlo says Jets 40s and 50s off the big boards with spoons will always have a fond place in his heart. And it should. He's really good at that. That's what he does. And as Duncan, you say, he can't beat a guy at his own game. So just curious to see his thoughts and differences when he switches to small boards. So, Phil, good morning. Corey, were we going to talk about pitching jigs in the river tomorrow night? If somebody asked that question, I mean, I did see a big giant list of questions that I think it was Dale. I think Dale Roush prepared. I'm like, holy moly! Tuesday's going to be busy, so I'm going to try to get through Phil's stuff fairly quick. And Ben says Bondi feels if he's using a 5/8 ounce, everyone on board should. No, I think that's wrong, 100% wrong. Because there's no way. Because the front of the boat is moving very, very small. The back of the boat, you move the front of the boat 3 inches. The back of the boat moves 4 feet. You can't do that. That's just a bad idea. Especially on a charter boat when you got guys in the back that really aren't, comfortable doing it. Yeah, that's wrong. That's something else I'll disagree with John Bondi on. So he's wrong. Ben, have you ever jigged the D at night? I have not. I know guys that do. We got some guys on Marina that, as it gets close to dark, they run up to the Rouge, that deep hole in front of the Rouge, and they absolutely flat out put a slaughter on the fish. So there are places at night, and you can do it. I have never done it. So, all right, it must be you, Dale, because I've still got sound coming here. So there is sound going out. There you go. So it must be on your end, because I do have sound going out. Okay. John says, if you have one client, where'd he go? Hang on, slow down. If you have one client in a party having trouble catching fish, do you move them around the boat, or do you change your drift? I can't really change my drift pattern because the drift pattern for me to stay vertical is what it is. If I have a client who just can't get it, I usually bring them to the front. I ask the party usually who is the least experienced fisherman, or who is the least experienced jig fisherman. I usually bring that person to the front and put them right on my left side, because then I can watch them. I can watch how they hold the rod. I can watch how they do, how they jig. I can watch what they're doing, because they're right next to me. And then if he gets it and a guy in the back isn't getting it, I'll send him to the back and I'll bring the next guy up front. So I can't really change my drift because vertical is vertical. I really can't change the way the boat drifts because I have to stay vertical. But the guy who does struggle, I bring him up on the front deck and he stands with me and I kind of teach him. There's guys I physically have to grab their hand and go, slow down, right? Or just do this, right? Like that. Right, slow them down. So Mark says, coming out this weekend, Saturday looks like a lot of south-southwest wind, 20 miles per hour. Where should I go? So I would say Saturday, because Saturday's not supposed to be very warm either. Coming out of Saturday, south-southwest wind, 20 miles an hour in Detroit River, with the temps we're supposed to get. Where should I go? Honestly, Mark, I would say golfing or shopping with your wife for plants, because 20 mile an hour south-southwest wind on the Detroit River is terrible. You add in cold water, it's going to get cold this week. Saturday is going to be a tough day. Really, the only place you're going to be able to get relief is the top side of Mud Island, top side of Grassy, on the east side of Grassy Island, east side of Mud. You might get a little bit of relief from that wind, but you're not going to get much relief. That's going to be a tough day. South-southwest 20, especially after a week of cold weather. This time of year, we're coming off the full moon, so there are probably some fish that spawned this week. Last couple days, you're probably catching some spawned out females the last couple days. because we are right here at the, our first full moon of, call it the spring. That caused that first group of fish to lay eggs. You're going to get some fish that are post-spawn. There aren't a lot of fish in the river yet. I'm sure there's, again, there's a lot of fish in the river compared to any place else, but there's not a lot of fish in the river compared to what's going to be in 3 weeks. We got this big giant cold front coming. You're probably going to have dirty water with the wind that's coming too. Now you add south-southwest blowing up the river. It's going to be a tough day. Tough day. Close to shore, up there at the steel mill, you're going to have to find a place out of the wind. And I don't know how big a boat you got, but I'm going to tell you 20 south-southwest, if you don't have a 19, 20, 21-foot boat, you're going to be in trouble because there are going to be 2-foot waves on the river that day. It's going to be a legit, if that's the weather, I see that, you start thinking of some whitecaps on the river, blowing up river. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Okay. Jeff Willis found an inland lake and chased some crappie on that kind of wind. That's a great point. Find another place to go fishing. Crappies, bluegills, perch are all still open. 6-foot waves on the Sugar Island Cut with 20-mile-an-hour south winds. That's true. That Sugar Island Cut, you're going to have 2.5, 3, solid 3-foot waves rolling up. That's an ugly wind, man. South-southwest at 20 is ugly. Tyler says there were some spawned hens caught Saturday on Saginaw, I heard. I believe that. Again, full moon, so that's going to trigger. But that also means that we don't have another full moon again until the end of April, which means there will be a lot of fish that wait until the end of April to spawn as that daylight gets a little bit more, waiting for that influence of the full moon. So we should have really good fishing, actually, again, into May like we always do. So don't freak out, guys. Run's not over. All right, so let's talk. Tyler just mentioned. Let's talk about what we're going to do with Tyler. And I'm saying this because we're going to come up with some way for you guys to help if you would like. So I watched a PBS special not too long ago. I think it was PBS or YouTube, whatever I saw it. But it was about the Sanford Dam situation up here in Sanford when the dams broke. And it really didn't talk anything about the dams. It talked about the people during the recovery, right? After everything happened, it got safe to get back into town. People are going to their homes, and they're showing these houses just completely destroyed, pushed off their foundation. Just an absolute nightmare. You think of, think of your house, with 3 foot of water in it. Think of all the things you lose. Think of the books you have and the memories you have and the videotapes you have and the picture albums you have, let alone losing all your house where you live and all your clothing. Just think about all of the stuff that you lose buried in river water and river mud. Devastating, right? I just can't even imagine. And then they really focused on, so that was kind of basically the first part of the premise. But then they focused on the volunteers, people who don't live in Michigan, people who definitely don't live in Sanford, people who maybe don't live even in Michigan, people who don't know anybody. Just the outpouring of volunteers that came and started tearing out bad drywall and started putting new drywall in and started tearing up carpet and just people who just came. They just came. They for whatever reason, they just came. And I watched this for an hour, watching these people who just literally living in the back of their truck for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to help other people that they don't even know, just because they felt compelled to be there. So I got the idea. I called Tyler Andrzejewski, my friend that actually lives up there, and I said, Tyler, here's what I'd like to do. I would like to donate a charter or two for the volunteers. We were going to keep it quiet, just kind of do it, and it turned into a big thing. The group Sanford Strong got together. He got a hold of his friend Teresa that runs Sanford Strong, and the whole group kind of got behind it. So what we're going to do, I think we have 4, Tyler. I don't know if we decided on 4 or 5. I think we got 4 groups of 5 volunteers going out on every other Thursday night on Saginaw Bay starting in June. So we're going to take a group of 5 volunteers out for fishing. Obviously, cost them nothing to do. We're just going to have them show up. We're going to take them fishing. Just give them 4 or 5 hours on the Saginaw Bay to relax. to say thank you, get them a few fish, get them a chance to enjoy the water. I'm sure some of them really have never honestly fished a lot, so maybe give them a chance to see what the people at Sanford loved about being on the lake, and just give them just a couple hours to just kind of chill for a minute. So 4 different times. I think we got 4 Thursdays, maybe 5 Thursdays. We got 4 Thursdays for sure scheduled. 5 volunteers each time. Tyler's going to join me once or twice and kind of help me first mate. I've talked to Jenny Olson at Michigan Outdoors. She's going to try as hard as she can to get up one Thursday and actually shoot a little segment for Michigan Outdoors just to talk about what happened in Sanford. So as we get, I told Tyler, and the reason I'm saying is this: when Tyler and I first started talking, I said, I don't want anybody to even know we're doing this. Don't want anybody to even know. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. No one needs to know we're doing this. And then it turned into T-shirts, and then it turned into a lot of different things. Okay, and I told Tyler in a phone call, I said, if we're going to make a big deal about it, if we're going to put it on Michigan Outdoors, if we're going to make a big deal about it, if people are going to know, we have to do that, not for the purpose of promoting what we're doing, but we have to do that with the goal of using the publicity to raise some dollars. So at some point, you will see from us a place that you can actually donate to the Sanford Strong committee, the Sanford Strong coffers, let's call it that, where you can send money to help these people buy food, buy new clothing, construction materials. So the Sanford Strong is the organization that puts all that together. Because we are making it public and we are going to make a big deal about it, we are going to publicize it, we're going to find a way to let people help. So at some point you'll see something about our little project. You'll see something someplace that you can help Sanford Strong, and every dollar helps. That's just in the works for June and July. Looking forward to that, actually. So we'll go from there. And I got something else coming up for Saginaw Bay too that we will talk about in a couple weeks. But anyway, if you see something, we'll post something here pretty quick about the Sanford Strong event, what we're doing, and how you guys can help. So anyway, I saw Tyler here this morning and thought, okay, we'll just have a little conversation about this. John says, well, change your drift. You told the story about clients who, yes, okay. So what John is talking, all right, so here's what John's talking about when he said change your drift. Here's what John's talking about. So maybe we misunderstood in the communication. I can't change the drift so somebody that's not vertical stays vertical. What I can do is change my drift so that person is in the right depth of water. Here's what John's talking about. He says, Lance, you told the story about clients who gave you crap for outfishing the captain. So this is what happened. So we were fishing in front of the Army Corps of Engineers. If you're ever fishing Army Corps of Engineers, you got some shallow water, you got a little break down to about 17, you got a little flat, then you got a steep break down to 28, 29, then it drops right off to about 45 feet. And you want to stay in that 27, 28 feet of water is perfect, right? So we're drifting, the wind's blowing straight from Canada. So I got the nose of the boat pointed at Canada, and I'm in 45 feet of water fishing. I'm not going to catch anything. But I got my guys in the back and the guys in the middle of the boat. I can watch, again, why you want to have why you want to have units that you can Ethernet together on the bow of your boat. So I was able to actually look at the transducer on the front of my boat and look at the transducer on the back. So I was actually able to see that they were in the right depth of water. So I'm out in 42, 44 feet of water. I'm not going to catch anything, but I'm still fishing to stay vertical. These guys are in 27, 20. They're in the perfect spot, and they're catching them. Poppity, pop, 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 4 or 5 fish adrift. So we go up, we make a second drift. We get done with the second drift, and we're driving back up. And one of the guys gets on the phone and says, yeah, having a good day. Weather's nice. Yeah, we're catching them, blah, blah, blah. And one guy says, something you never, ever do. He goes, yeah, we're catching all the fish. The captain isn't catching anything. And I hear him. He didn't say it loud. He said it, telling his buddy that he's out fishing the captain and I'm a shitty captain, right? I'm like, all right. So next drift we pull up and I pull the boat back and now I'm in 27, 28 feet of water. These knuckleheads are up in 13. They're going to catch nothing. And I make a drift and I catch 6 or 7 myself in one drift. Reel up, go back up, don't say a word, go back out to 42, put them in the right depth of water and they start catching them again. So moral there is don't poke the bear. When your captain is driving the boat and doing everything he can to put you on fish, and sometimes at the detriment of him catching them, don't run your mouth. Just shut up and say, thank you, Captain. So that's what John was talking about, as opposed to being able to actually get somebody who's not vertical. I can definitely look at the guy in the front completely controls where the boat goes. 100% controls where the boat goes. So if I get a guy in the back who's kind of snotty and nasty, he may not catch fish all day because I may drive the boat just the right way to keep him off the fish because he's being a jerk. So that little bit can happen. That little bit can happen. Glenn says his brother's coming down from Traverse City to tomorrow for his first time on the Detroit River. 68 high temps. Have not heard much on winds. The middle. Look at here's what I can tell you. The middle of the river is the best right now. Right around Mud Island, Grassy Island, Fighting Island, up by the steel mill, E-Course Channel in front of Motor City Marina, right out in front of the Wyandotte boat ramp along the west side of Grassy there, that flat. That's all good. So I would tell you mid-river is for sure the best place to be. Again, look for the boats. I hate to say that, but Detroit River is a place to look for the boats. Not necessarily the boats, look for the right boats and look for the nets. I hate to be a net chaser, but apparently that's what we do nowadays. So, but I would concentrate for sure in the middle of the river. So, I know what I was going to talk about. I want to talk about boat launches. So sit tight. I'm going to get through these comments. I'm going to do a little rant on boat launches. Ben says, have you ever fished the Maumee? I've never been in the Maumee River. I don't know that I could handle all those people that close to me. I know I hated still. I was at Below Tippy Dam one time during the Steelhead run. I literally fished for 5. I went with a bunch of buddies. I literally fished for 5 minutes and said, I would rather get hit in the nuts with a hammer than sit here with all these people and fish. There's no way. No way. So that's the same way I feel about the Maumee River. Maumee River, Maumee Bay is a little different, but it does get crowded. Lots of guys with small boats. It's just a lot of people. I've never done it. I'm sure it would be awesome, though, Ben. I'm curious if you go down there. I'm curious to see what you find out. Just something I just have never done. And again, most of my walleye fishing took place on Saginaw Bay and Saginaw River when I first started walleye fishing. That was it. I fished the Saginaw River mostly. We'd venture out into the bay a little bit. And when I decided to get into walleye fishing big time, it was tournament fishing. So I have done, I stand here. I have fished lots of places. I have done very, very little exploring. I have very rarely have been to a place to go walleye fishing specifically for fun. It's always been with a purpose. And I don't mean going fishing for fun is a purpose, but I mean my fishing has always been I got to go to a place because there's a tournament, or now I go to a place because I guide. To go, hey, I heard about the walleye bite at Lake Hoochie Hoochie and pick up and go. I've never done it. I just don't do it. My bad. And I'm missing a lot of fish. That's why I'm so excited about the response we got about our trip next year, which I'm kind of working on a few little details before I tell you guys, the guys that want to go. I'm trying to work the logistics of it. That's why I'm doing what I'm going to plan on doing next June. Get in the car here, drive 7-8 days, end up in Devil's Lake, and drive back 7-8 days and fish the whole way. Because there are places that I want to go to I've never gone to. So I envy you guys who see a bite and go, hey, I'm going to go to Maumee Bay. I hear about Maumee Bay and blade baits. I'm going to go down there. I envy you guys that can do that. I don't have the time to do that. It's one of the negatives of what I do is my fishing is so focused, whether it be tournament fishing I started back in '97 or now guiding, my fishing is so focused on I have to go where I have to go to make money because it is part of my livelihood, that going fishing for fun. And I know guys don't believe me. I'm like, I don't. I get a day off. The last thing I think about doing is going fishing. I get a day off guiding and I'm home. The last thing I think about is going fishing. It just, oof. Hey, look, if you're a plumber and you plumb for, you're working 42 days straight and you're plumbing, you sure as hell hope that the day you're off, your buddy doesn't call you and go, hey, my toilet's clogged up. Right? That's how I feel about fishing. That's the way I feel about fishing. If I'm not guiding, I'm not fishing. Now, that's going to change. This year's going to be a little bit different. I said that last year. Last year was last year. But I miss crappie fishing. The biggest problem I have, I'm ranting about this, but The biggest problem I have is the good fishing all really happens at the same time, right? April, May, early June. And I'm so busy on the river that I don't get a chance to. I love jig fishing for crappies. I love casting jigs for crappies. One of my favorite ways to fish. I love throwing stick baits in newly emerging weeds for bass. I love throwing spinner baits at shallow water cover. One of my favorite things in the world. Little bait caster, spinner bait, up shallow cover, catching largemouth bass. Love it. Absolutely love it. But all that happens while I'm chartering. By the time I get done, then the bay kicks in. Everyone wants to go to the bay in early June. By the time I get done with my big part of my schedule, it's the middle of summertime and nothing's biting. So I just don't get a chance to do it. And I know some of you look and go, man, Lance got a really cool life being able to do it. I want you to know, with all sincerity, I look at you guys and go, man, Ben's going to take a day, take a couple of buddies and go down to Maumee Bay blade bait fishing. How awesome is that? So sometimes I look at you guys and go, I see Paul Phillips and the group from Metro Detroit, these baskets full of bluegills and crabs. I'm like, man, I'm jealous. So I want you guys to know that some of the adventures you guys take, I'm jealous of because I can't take those kinds of adventures. So Ben, let us know how it goes. Curious. Very curious. Good morning, Randy Kruger. So Glen, middle of the river would be the place I would go. Captain Todd, Tyler says 4 trips. We're doing 4 trips. Okay, good. The volunteers are very excited. Our little village town is coming back slowly, still a work in progress. Tyler says, can't say thank you enough, Lance. It is what it is. It's just something that had to be done, right? Somebody had to do it. See you, Johnny. Have a good day. Rod, have a good day. Greg Orso. How about the guy that can't feel the bottom? I bring him to the front, give him a 1 ounce jig, and I show him everything I can show him to do it. So if you see a guy in the front of my boat, he's usually in fishing timeout because he just can't get it. So I bring him up to the front. So, but some guys I get great guys, and they take turns standing up front so we can chat a little bit. But I almost always have a guy on my front deck. And that's the guy who just is having trouble get it because now I can watch him. So. Nick says, I know how you feel, Lance, when I take guys out, who haven't or don't fish as much as I do. I make sure to try and put them on fish. It doesn't. As a captain, look, my job on the Detroit River is not to catch fish. My job is to make sure my customers catch fish. Unfortunately, on Detroit, I have to fish to stay vertical, right? And there are some days that guys just don't get it. And you got to help them, give them your part of your limit, help them take some fish home. I don't care. And it's funny. We do our salmon fishing trip. I take kind of the inner circle up to see Lance Keene every year for a couple of days. And usually that salmon trip in late August is the first time I actually reel in a fish since the day I've left Detroit. I never reel fishing in Detroit, ever, or in Saginaw Bay, ever. So I leave that last day of Detroit knowing it's the last fish I'm going to catch until August. Because on a trolling trip, I sure as heck don't reel fishing. And I have to do it in Detroit because I have to stay vertical. So that's why it was so cool this year when Chris and Dean grabbed me and said, hey, we're taking you fishing the last day of the education week. And we went on the pontoon and these guys did all the work. I just drove the boat. They set the lines, did this. They made me go back there and reel them in. Jason, I think we had 6 guys on the boat. We had Jeff Malinowski and Greg Lanthier, and or not Greg Lanthier, Greg. Geez Louise, killing me. Jason Kelly. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry, Greg. Apologize. Getting old. But they just did all the work. They set all the lines. They did the whole deal. I just drove the boat and they let me reel fish in. So I don't get a chance to do that much, and I do miss it. But fishing has become my job, and sometimes when I don't have to go, I don't want to go fishing. So that's just the negatives of what I do. This is what it is. Rob says fished all weekend. 70% of the fish came from Wyandotte. Yeah, that whole Wyandotte area is going to do it. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Zach, my good friend Zach Jobs, how are you? So Lance, I've had a lot of success with your jigs. Can you explain the difference between your jig and a traditional ball head jig, particularly relative to cutting the current? He says, you the man. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, Zach. Thank you. And again, one of the things that I'm proud of is we have the only jig on the market that was designed from scratch. So everybody else's jig that you see, not that they're bad, they're just not as good because they're just jigs. They come out of a mold. And most of the molds are designed for something different. They're definitely not designed for heavy current. So when we designed our jig, and again, like I told you a couple weeks ago, we did this actually inside a little, actually a large tube that actually created current, so we could actually see how the jig acted in current. So round nose, kind of shaped like a submarine, because that was it's a very efficient shape to cut the water. And then we put, the biggest thing for us is we moved a lot of the weight to the back. We call them cheeks. So we moved a lot of weight to the back, not in a line like some jigs have that actually cause the jig to actually act like wings and make the jig spin, but we put a lot of that weight on the back. So now the water comes over, hits the nose, goes over, it hits those cheeks, and now the water, the way the cheeks are designed, actually forces the jig down. That's a huge deal. So the nose keeps it straight, the cheeks push it down, and the way we've changed the line tie of that jig now hits the bottom about like that. So that jig actually hits the bottom kind of on its throat or nose, not the bottom of the jig, and that keeps the hook and the steering hook up off the bottom. So a lot of work went into that. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that. A lot of work went into designing that jig properly. A lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. So we're pretty happy with that. Ed says, Saturday you mentioned jigging the AuSable River from the bridge down. Yeah, so little known secret, occasionally we will sneak up to the AuSable River, fish the lower part of the river, usually in fall, early fall. Jig the same way we do Detroit, jig the current seams, jig the holes, jig some of the channels. Now the drifts are very short. But again, those fish aren't scared. Fish in current aren't scared. So you can drift right over top of a fish in a hole that's 12 feet deep and 10 feet deep and catch them, right? So we vertical jig that bottom part of the AuSable River, usually once, twice a year. I got two buddies that kind of will remain secret that we do it. Same thing we use in Detroit, plastics, 3/4 ounce jigs, same thing we use in Detroit. I may use a 5/8 there just because it's a little different. Not the amount of people. Boat control isn't as, you want to stay vertical, but it's not as big of a deal because you're not going to hit somebody next to you. So I fish 5/8, some 3/4. But yeah, from the last bridge down, we'll motor up or launch up there and work our way down and motor back up. But brown trout, steelhead, salmon, depending on the time of the year, big walleyes, smallmouth bass, occasional pike. Yeah, it's pretty legit deal there. So yeah, we do that occasionally. There's places there we'll stop and cast jigs. Anchor the boat up in the middle of the river with the trolling motor and cast upstream and kind of work a jig through a shallower hole or through a run. Absolutely. Really cool place to fish. Definitely underfished the way we fish it, without question. Some of the shallow spots where you get, maybe you got a deep hole in the river and you get a little shallower run off to the side, you can actually cast crankbaits. I think all the guys do it for salmon and steelhead. They're casting deep thundersticks, and that we catch a lot of walleye casting shad style crankbaits upstream, cranking, getting them down to hit the rocks, getting them down 6-7 feet, and so yeah, really good place to fish that nobody fishes. And now it's really cool because you don't get as many salmon as you used to get, so there's a lot more different fish in the river, right? So now instead of having 700 salmon in a hole and they don't want to bite, now you've got 6 walleye and 3 smallmouth and 1 king and 3 steelhead, and it's just a mixed smorgasbord of fish, and yeah, it's fun. Do you think the St. Clair River is going to be messed up until the dams are back? I think there's a lot of I think that dam put a lot of silt in the bottom of the St. Clair River that needs to, over the course of the years, get some extra flow and be removed. I think that's part of the issue with the Saginaw River this fall. Is there just isn't the spawning habitat. I think it's just covered. So it'll take a little bit of flow, but I don't think the Saginaw River is ever going to be the same. I think that damage from the dam break is going to cause irreparable harm to the Saginaw because you just don't have the flow you had anymore. So I think the Saginaw River's changed. I think it's changed forever. Randy says we have to choose between Michigan and Erie, so we watch the wind. Yeah, that's yeah. Get the gloves. I like that. Just I worked as a first mate for Char Cat on Toledo Beach years ago. I agree you can get tired of fishing. It's possible in the summer I want to do anything else but fish. See, and then Paul has to rub it in. Crappies on fire. Been hard to not fish for them. Yeah. I know. Arlo says Lake Ontario summer salmon bite. Hunters for Life says good morning. Hi Mark, how are you? We are going to do, actually, the plan is to go over to Manistee, I think, starting like the 14th of August and stay through the 30th and actually do salmon charters out of Manistee on the pontoon this year. So if that's something you're interested in doing, especially with a small group, we're going to be a little less expensive than the big boats just because we don't have the fuel cost they have. If you got 3-4 guys that want to go salmon fishing, I always thought about maybe doing it. And haven't been able to afford a big boat. We're not going to be much less than a big boat because, it's not much cheaper to run our boat, but it's a little cheaper. So we're going to have the pontoon over there. I think Dean's going to help me first mate. We're going to be over there. I think August 14th we start and we stay till the end of August. So we're in Manistee. So if that's something you're looking for, let us know. Multi-species fishing charters are very popular here in Virginia. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure that's. And if I stayed on Detroit, if I lived closer to Detroit, I would, if Detroit River was a possibility to fish all year, I would definitely do that. You could do some muskie jigging, muskie casting once that season opens. Smallmouth bass fishing on Detroit River is absolutely phenomenal, both casting and jigging. The walleye fishing stays good all year. Again, some of the alternate presentations we talked about last Tuesday in the Teaching Fishing Anglers Club. So yeah, if I, it's hard, and it's hard with a big group. You get 6 guys in a pontoon, you don't want to be casting jigs to shallow water because you're going to have people with jigs in their ears and jigs in their. It's just, I do what I do. I think I do it very, very well, and I have the equipment and the setup to do what I do. A lot of guys say, why don't we do that? Well, because I can't. It's not what I do, right? I do what I do. You can't put me and 4 guys in a boat, a polar craft, 20-foot polar craft on the Detroit River, and cast jigs to shallow water because if I got all 4 guys on one side, you're going to have just a mess. So multi-species charters, I like that idea. It's just tough. Saltwater guys, but again, it's the same rod, it's the same jig, it's maybe a second rod, and it's 2 guys in a boat, right? It's not 6 guys in a boat or 4 guys in a boat. So, I'd like to do that. Mike says he notices that after using a jig for a while, the paint will be off the bottom of the nose. Yeah, that's it. So our jigs the paint doesn't wear off down here. It wears off right here on the nose. That's because it hits like that. So, on purpose. That's why you don't see our jig anywhere else. That's why you can't buy our jig anywhere else, because it's not a mold that someone just said, oh, yeah, there you go, right? It's designed on purpose. It's the only jig on the market. I'm going to flat out tell you. I'm going to puff my chest out a little bit. Only jig on the market designed from scratch to fish in heavy current vertically. There's no other jig like that. None. Don't care what they say, don't care what they call it. Everything else is a jig mold that's been around forever and is not designed specifically for fishing vertical and current, right? The jig we talked about, that's 45-degree angle, it's got a sharp side and flat sides. We talked about getting low pressure and actually lifting. That jig is actually designed, why the sides are so sharp and so flat, that jig's actually designed to be cast. You give a little bit of slack line and actually, instead of falling like a round ball jig would and roll over and the hook be on the bottom, it's designed that when you cast it, not jig it, when you cast it, so that current cutter jig that gets a gazillion sold is actually designed from the start. That jig was designed to cast, let it hit the bottom, put a little bit of slack in your line, and it rolled 45 degrees and set on one of those flat sides of the hookup. That jig was not designed to be fished in vertically in heavy current. That's not what it was designed for. It was designed to lay on the side at a 45-degree angle with the hook 90 degrees to the bottom so it didn't get snagged. And then you jig it, you pick it up, you drop it on slack line, it would hit, and the way it's designed, it would roll sideways, and the hook would hook up off the bottom and land on one of the flat sides. That jig was never designed to ever be fished vertically in heavy current. Does it work? Sure, it works. Doesn't work as good as that one. So I'm not, that's, it just is what it is. Morning, Scotty. Any updates on the custom flicker sheds? Mike Steffes is on here. I think he found some clearance. I'd imagine he's painting as fast as he can, Scott. I will check with Mike. So there you go. Yes, thank you, Lauren. I'd like to update on Captain Steve. His health continues to degrade. He could use your prayers. Instant message him. He would love to hear from him. So Steve Dennis, good buddy. So if you want to send him a Facebook message, he would love to chat with you. I know I try to keep up with him at least once a week. But yeah, he's can't do much. I did see him get out fishing a couple weeks ago though, but he can't do much. So Steve Dennis, right there. Find him on Facebook. Yeah, don't feel free to chat with him real quick. Jimmy says, how does the Detroit River current compare to the current on the Upper Niagara? I've always wondered if you. I don't know why guys aren't vertical jigging on the Niagara. The current's a little heavier there, but it's the same. Currents are relevant, right? So here's why I always get frustrated when I hear guys talk about, well, my river's slower, my river's faster. I don't care if the current's 6 miles an hour. It doesn't matter. If your boat control's right, your jig is vertical. Staying vertical and keeping a jig on the bottom, right, and vertical jigging, doesn't matter if the current's a mile an hour or 7 miles an hour. It all has to do with moving your boat at the right speed to keep your jig vertical. So yeah, Jimmy, Niagara River absolutely would work. Actually, at some point, I'm hoping to get out there and actually be there at a time there's a lot of walleyes in the river and actually doing it. I don't know why guys aren't doing it. It's one of the easiest ways to fish. The only thing that changes is the current gets heavier. The jigs are relevant because you can literally, if you're good at your boat control, you go to Niagara River in 40 feet of water and 4 mile an hour current, you could vertically fish an 1/8 ounce jig and feel the bottom. Your boat control would have to be dead nut spot on. So as the jig gets heavier, obviously the easier it is. But jig fishing, Jimmy, is nothing but boat control and keeping that line vertical. Now, it has nothing to do with boat control. Jig weight doesn't matter. Obviously, it's easier with a heavier jig. That makes boat control less important. But absolutely it would work on the Niagara. I don't know why there aren't more guys doing it. All right, Dance's turn his lights. That's a huge part of that. So I'm going to go on a little boat ramp raid. Leo's, yes, breakfast at Leo's today. 9 o'clock. It looks like we're going to have a big crowd. Linda and Doug are coming down. I know most of the guys are going to be here. So yeah, so love to have you. Joe says, when jigging Detroit River, how often do you change colors? Never. Colors, I'm going to tell you, 99 days out of 100, colors are relevant. If I'm not catching fish, especially if the guys around me aren't catching fish, or I don't see them on my sonar, I'm in the wrong spot. I mean, too many guys think you can just go to Detroit River, find a spot, drift, and catch them. That's not the case at all. That's, even as many fish are in there, that's not the case at all. I'm not a color guy, Joe. Give me something with chartreuse on the jig head. Give me something dark green, black, brown, purple on the body. I'll catch them. Not too worried about it. The key on Detroit is finding active fish that want to bite. And when you do that, color doesn't, can you catch more some days? Yeah, but you're not going to catch. If you're in it, let me put it this way to you, Joey. If you're making a drift and not catching any fish, making that same drift with a different color isn't going to make a difference. You're in a spot where there are fish that don't want to bite, or there's no fish. You start catching a few, now you can play with color to figure out what color is the best trigger for that area at that time. But not catching them and then switching color and catch them never happens. So don't worry about color. Go back to our 8 steps, right? Are you in the right location? Are you in the right depth of water? Do you have your speed right, so your boat control? Worry about those 3 things. The first 2 being most important. Are you in the right location? Are there fish here? Are you in the right depth of water? Get those right, and you're going to catch fish no matter what color you use. And then you can start changing colors to catch more. But going from 0 to some just because you change colors, that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Someone's going to work. Ooh, Ben. All right, Benny. Craig says looking forward to Lake Trial, Lake Michigan, Grand Traverse Bay. That's something we've actually talked about doing as a charter in September. So there you go. All right, let's talk about boat ramps a little bit. So let's do this. A couple things that I want to talk about. So I was on another page and saw a little post about the Wyandotte boat ramp, okay? So a couple of things people have to understand. Number one, the boat ramps that we have right now are not designed for the amount of traffic we're getting in today's world. The Wyandotte boat ramp was, let's say there's 150 spots. I don't know how many there are. Let's say there's 100 parking spots. That Wyandotte boat ramp was not designed for 100 boats showing up at 5 o'clock in the morning to try to get in, and 100 boats to show up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get out. Look at it. You can barely turn a trailer around. It's designed for, over the course of a day, 100 guys come and go, 2 or 3 at a time, right? That harbor is very small. There's not a lot of room to maneuver. There's no place to tie up, right? So we have to be patient. So a couple things. The first one I just saw from Matt is 100% drives me bonkers. It's one of my biggest pet peeves at a ramp. Turn your lights off. If you want to leave your little floodlights on, or you want to just go to your accessory lights, okay. But when you're backing down a ramp, everybody's got auto headlights. They just put it on auto and they just drive, right? Turn them off. There's nothing worse than trying to back up and there's 2 sets of lights coming from both sides into your mirrors as you're trying to look in your mirrors. Turn your lights off when you're backing in. If you want to leave your courtesy lights on, okay. Turn your lights off. Oy vey, that's number one. Number two, be ready. When you get to the boat ramp, damn it, be ready. Don't get to the ramp, stop the boat 6 feet short of the water, hop in, pull your ropes out, take your straps off, be ready to roll. The minute that boat starts going backwards, it should be ready to come off the trailer. Now, if you're like me and you got a good trailer, I wait until my boat's going to hit the water to undo the last strap or pull the safety chain off. I do that last, but all my other stuff is off. I'm ready to roll. Okay? And the minute that boat hits the water and that little strap, so usually what I do is I usually walk back with my boat, tell the guy, whoa, when he gets to the water, I unhook that last strap, usually the safety chain. I hop in the boat, he dumps it, I drive, we're gone. So that's it. Be ready, turn your lights off. Number two, I know I'm going to make some people mad with this one. I'm okay with that. Launch and load docks at a ramp are not designed to be tied to. The correct way to launch, back your boat in, someone drives it off the trailer, somebody else goes and parks it, you go out and hang around until your guys come back. Boat ramps are not designed to back in a boat, tie up a rope, and sit there for 5 minutes while your guy drives back. And then as he's walking back to the truck, goes, oh, wait a minute, I got to go to the bathroom. And you've tied up a dock now for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, we should have been able to get 15 to 20 boats in. And you shut the whole thing down by tying up. Look at, if you got a person that goes fishing with you more than twice a year, they need to learn to either drive your boat or drive your truck. It's that simple. This crap of guys that go fishing all the time and they won't let anybody drive their boat or drive their truck, it's got to stop. It just has to stop. That's not how it works. I would like to see, personally, a bump lane, and then we call that bump loading, right? You drop your guy in, he bumps off, and then when you get ready to go, he comes into the dock, he bumps the end of the dock, not one side of the dock, he bumps the end. While another boat's coming in the side of the dock, he bumps the end, his driver drives on, and he goes away as this guy starts. I've watched 150 boat fields in a tournament on a one dock, 2 lanes. I've seen 150 boats in the water in less than 25 minutes. And never a problem, nobody's mad, constant motion. The minute you tie up, you've stopped the whole flow of traffic. Okay? So, I will say this, and again, I know I'm going to make people mad, and I'm okay with that because at some point, if you've got somebody in your boat or with you that cannot drive, if you have to do the whole thing, you got to back your boat in, you got to get your boat off the trailer, you got to have somebody hold the ropes, you got to go park your truck, you cannot launch at 5 o'clock at Wyandotte when there's a gazillion people launching. Can't do it. I'm going to tell you, it borders on rude. Get in line, keep trucking. Keep going. Same thing with loading. You're done at the end of the day, you drive up to the dock, you drop your guy off to go get the truck, you go out back in the river, you mill around, here comes your trailer, you drive your boat onto your trailer. There's a difference between power loading and loading under power. Loading under power is allowed, power loading is not. Figure out where your boat has to be, where your trailer has to be in the water, that you can get it on the bunks, slide it up there 90% of the way, have your buddy back the truck a little bit, boom, you bump the stop, you reach over the front, you put on the safety chain, you go. You take care of all your other stuff off the ramp. Your winch strap getting tight, you take care of that off of the ramp, not at the ramp. Get your trailer figured out, slide up there under power, right? Have your buddy back the boat, back the trailer in, you get up there to the bow stop, boom, you reach over the front, you put your safety chain on, go. Get out of my way. Then you go up at the top, you tighten your winch strap, you do all that stuff. That's not to be done at the dock. This stuff of getting out, putting on waders, rolling up your pants, legs, and cranking the boat on from the back of the trailer all the way to the front. You can't do that, guys. You can't do that. Teach your wife how to back your trailer, or teach your wife how to drive your boat. I don't care, one or the other. Teach your son how to drive your boat, drive your trailer. Teach your fishing buddy that goes with you more than twice a year. Dude, if you want to go again, you got to learn how to drive the truck. You got to learn how to back the truck in. You just got to. You got to learn. And show them. Take them to a ramp. Don't take them to Wyandotte at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in April for the first time. Take them to Lake Watchy Watchy where there's no people on a Tuesday afternoon and teach them how to launch and load the boat. Okay, so that's the other thing. Constant motion, constant motion, constant motion, constant motion. If you do have a situation where you got people that can't help you, ask for help. Ask someone, hey, can you do me a favor? I got a couple of new guys. Can you back my truck in for me? Sure. Back the truck in. Right? Let them go park the truck and bring their keys back. Right? Ask somebody at the ramp. There's a bunch of people at the Wyandotte ramp working there. Hey, can you back me in so I can get out of here quick? This stuff of sitting in line for 45 minutes, there are there's 4 slots at Wyandotte. 4 slots at Wyandotte. One on the outside of the dock, 2 in the middle, and then 1 on the other side of the other dock, right? 4 slots. We should be getting 4 boats in or out of that water every 45 seconds. Shouldn't take you 3 hours in line because there's 20 guys in front of you. The ramps are designed for continuous movement. They're not designed. That's why at bigger ramps, you'll see a courtesy dock. Launch your boat, go tie up at the courtesy dock. If you need to use the dock, that's why it's called a courtesy dock. You can't tie up at the ramp where people are coming in and out. You can't do it. You can't do it. And again, I may have made some people mad, and I'm okay with that because that's one thing I will plant my flag in. Go. Get away from the ramp. When you're coming or going, get away from the ramp. And there's no excuse. Like I said, if someone's gone fishing with you more than twice, you need to teach them how to drive the truck or the boat. And don't be this guy, God dang it, nothing makes me more frustrating. Well, I don't let anybody drive my truck or my boat. Well, then you're an idiot. So you're going to tie up the ramp for 50 other people because you won't let somebody drive your truck or your boat. It's a truck. They drive like every other vehicle that's ever been designed. It's not a stick shift on the column anymore, right? I mean, pedal on the right makes it go, pedal on the left makes it stop. It's not that hard. Boats aren't that hard. Start it, put it in reverse, drive it. There you go. Let somebody drive your boat and mill around out in the middle of the lake. Get off the ramp. Get off the ramp. Get off the ramp. There you go. Is boat speed exactly the same as current speed? No, it is not. And it's completely different. We've got a lot of stuff we talk about vertical jig, and we're getting past time here, so that's something for another day. But no, your boat speed is not the same as current. If your boat speed is the same as the current, you'll never be vertical. Matt's got a Drado. I like that Drado too. Yeah, I'm thinking if I kept the boat for longer than 10 months, I would get it. Those Drados are awesome. Automatic launch, automatic load. Yes, there should be. I agree with Lauren. There should be courtesy docks, and there should be at the minimum a bump and a non-bump lane. So if you got a dock with 2 lanes, one should be a continuous motion bump, and if you're not comfortable doing that, the other side is tie up. You can't have a dock with 2 lanes and have them both tied up. Can't do it. They just can't do it. It's just not fair to the other guys. And I know everybody says, well, I have every right to. Yeah, you do, but I have every right to not have to wait for you because you can't do basic skills. I have a right to be able to go. I don't like the fact that we're coming to the point in America where everything goes down to the lowest common denominator. Right? I can't imagine. I've been at a boat ramp with guys that don't know how to load. I'm trying to help and they're like, I'm embarrassed sitting there. I'm absolutely embarrassed to sit there. Right? Get gone. Since you're on the subject, learn to back your trailer and some. Yes. I taught Carol. When Carol was fishing with me a lot, I'm like, okay, if we're going to do this, you need to learn to back the trailer up. She goes, all right. And she'd had a little bit of practice as a kid doing it because they always had a boat and they always had a camper trailer. So Carol was, 11 years old backing trailers in. But she hadn't done it for a while. So when we decided to go fishing, we went up to the local movie theater. And we went in the back of the movie theater, and I took a couple 5-gallon buckets, and I set them up, and she got to the point she could drive the trailer in and out of the buckets over and over and over again, and now she goes fishing with me. She backs the truck in, I drive it off, she goes parks the truck, I come back up, I get her, we get done, I drop her off at the dock, she goes gets the truck, backs it in, I drive it up, away we go. So, yes, find a place other than the ramp to learn how to use the ramp. Actually, Huron in the Fall is actually pretty good because there's the courtesy dock. Just off to the courtesy dock and someone's come. Courtesy docks are still, I just drive off, sit in the middle of the lake or in the middle of the river until my guy comes down and go get him. And while I'm out screwing around out in the middle of the river, I'm getting rods ready, or in the middle of the lake, I'm getting rods ready, I'm getting stuff out, I'm getting gear out, I'm getting everything ready to go. I may fire off the kicker and have it kind of warm up a little bit while I do all that stuff. So when we get fishing, I'm ready to go fishing. I don't mind busy ramps. I mind busy ramps where people tie up. And again, there are situations where you have to tie up. You take people that just don't know. You got newbies, you got kids. I get it. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But 3 grown adult men in 1 truck in a boat shouldn't be tied up to the dock. And every dock shouldn't be tied up to. There should be some policeman or policing at the dock that says, no, bump dock. Shoot. Right. Jeff says if you launch solo, ask for help. I've never been told no. There you go. Guys are willing to hold a rope or something to help you out. Correct. Right? So you're by yourself. You back it in. You dump the trailer. Ask a guy, hey, can you do this? Or a lot of times I'll fish Holloway by myself a lot. And there'll be a guy there. And I'm like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you back me in? Yep. What do you want me to do? Park the truck. Bring me back my keys. Okay. Parks the truck. Bring me back my keys. I go, beep, beep. Locked. Done. I go fishing. Don't even worry about it. So, Doug says, if you can't, my wife will do it. I like watching my wife. My wife weighs about 95 pounds. I have a little more than that, and she just hops right in that truck, and she only goes once or twice a year, but she hops right in that truck and backs down. You should see the looks we get. People are like, well, if she wants to go fishing, she better learn how to do something. Yeah, fishing alone. I get it. Fishing alone, I get it. But everybody, the 3 guys who said they fish alone, ask somebody for help. Ask somebody for help, right? I think the biggest thing is, and I've seen it a lot, and I got to go here. So, Matt says, yeah, it's just a truck, but after I get that, right? But at some point, you got to hope that people know how to drive. It just, it just because we've got so many people, which is good. We got more anglers than we've ever had, and we've still got the same, if not less, public access. Right? So we have to learn to all get along. We have to learn to keep moving. We have to learn if you don't need help. And if you do need help, get help. If you don't know how to do it, ask somebody to help. If you need to tie up tie up. I'm okay with it. But if there's 4 slots, you can't you can't have somebody tied up on all 4 slots. Can't do that. You can't do that. I would like to see a bump, non-bump dock situation. That's what I would like to do. Jim says, you fish by yourself, get a trolling motor with an anchor lock feature. I've seen guys do that. I don't know if I would trust that. As much as I trust as much as I do trust my motor guy, I don't know if I would follow that commercial. That kind of freaks me out. Jeff says he has a Ford truck with a Pro trailer backup system. I set it up. My wife backs the truck trailer in with no issues. She loves it. Yes, Linwood Marina has it down. You get in, you dump your guy, he hangs around, you drive your truck back, they hop you in the golf cart. Wyandotte Ramp does the same thing. It shouldn't take all that time to do it. It just drives me bonkers. Geneva State Park, 6 ramps in and out. A lot of docks have an in and an out. Yeah, it's just look at the biggest thing I want you to get from this is practice. If the only time you launch your boat is 3 Saturdays a year in the middle of the Detroit River walleye fishing, you got to practice. You've got to know exactly how deep your trailer needs to go to drive your boat on. You need to know exactly how deep your trailer needs to go to drive your boat off. You have to know that. Practice, 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 practice. Go to lake one night for 5 hours, don't take any fishing tackle, and put that boat on and off the trailer 1,000 times. Practice backing up. Practice backing up in a parking lot. Take a couple of 5-gallon buckets, set them up. Just practice. Just get good at it. Be good at it. Be good at it. And again, if you need help, ask for help. If you need to tie up, tie up. No problem. But 3 able-bodied guys in a boat and a truck should not have to tie to a dock. So, of course, the only time I refused to back the trailer was a PWT term as an amateur because that rig was the guy's livelihood. If anything happened, I fished. Now, I will tell you this. I fished as a pro on the PWT, and I always, unless it was an absolute 100% impossible to do, I always got a slip because I knew my amateur was going to be uncomfortable backing my boat in most times. I never was. I hopped in. The only time I had to ask for help is I hopped in one time with my pro and he had a stick shift. I'm like, okay, never driven one. Don't care, don't want to know. So I had one of the other guys hop in and back him in and park the truck. Okay. Say, I needed help. I asked for help. Greg Pollock, he says when I teach BS, he's talking boating safety. He says, I do talk about ramp etiquette. Yeah, it's just courtesy, right? Or if you do need to tie up, go to the end of the dock so I can get my boat in on the side and go around you. Forces I see Carolyn you and their thought is he's a lucky man on a lot of things. Of course, as a society, we need to relearn to think about others, and that everyone has to learn at some point. Right, I'm okay. I'm okay with people having to learn. You can't learn Saturday morning at 5 o'clock at Wyandotte in April. That's not the place to learn. I know you have to learn to play golf. I know golf is a hard sport and you have to learn. Not Sunday morning with an 8 o'clock tee time. That's not where you teach somebody how to play golf. You can't teach a guy how to back a boat in at Wyandotte at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning on the second Saturday of April. That's not the place to learn. So there are places to be patient, A busy ramp at a busy time is not the place to be patient. That's not why anybody would think that that's a good place to learn. I don't get it. Right? And I would tell you, as a boat owner, I would think, or anything that I do, I make sure before I go to where everybody's doing it, I'm good at it. I don't want to be the guy at the boat ramp that doesn't know how to launch his boat. I don't want to be on a golf course that can't hit a golf ball, though some days I am. And I sure don't want to hold people up. So yes, Corey, I agree. Not everybody had a chance to learn. Not everybody had a benefit of a good teacher. We need to be patient, yes. But if that person doesn't have the skills, and this is my whole point. If you don't have the skills to participate with the way everybody else is participating, you need to learn somewhere else, not make everybody else wait for you. That makes sense. So go to your local lake, practice launching, get good, come down to Detroit, impress everybody. Ryan says, married a farm girl. Yeah, there you go. That knows how to back up wagons. Yeah. He says, loves his drought a lot. It's funny. There are times I have to back into parking spots. And I actually, because I drive with my mirrors. I never look back. I'm a mirror guy. So the minute I see my trailer tire in one mirror, I know it's time to go to the other side. Because again, just like boat control when you're jigging, small turns are better. My dad's he's like way over here. I'm like, Dad, he's way over here, right? So I would never ever let my dad back the truck up if we went somewhere where it was busy. I'd put his butt in the boat and go sit there until we go, because he doesn't know how to do a trailer. So if we go to Holloway and there's 15 ramps, I'll let him back the trailer in between two docks. He's never backing the boat in where it's busy. Won't let him, because he doesn't know how to do it. It's a little small turn. So I'm a mirror guy. So I watch my mirror, right? If I see my trailer fender in this mirror, I know I need to turn the boat the other way. So I never look back. I just mirror. I look, my rear view mirror, but I use my side mirrors and just kind of keep the boat out of the, too much of the boat out of the side mirrors. And I just back it up. I have a hard time, believe it or not, backing in to a parking spot without a trailer. If I back in I actually look like an idiot backing in without a trailer, because I'm so used to having a trailer when I back in that I look like an idiot. People will probably look at me going, learn how to back your truck. Because when I have to back without a trailer, I get really, really bad. Paul says we're talking river. No, we're talking everywhere. We're talking boat ramp, period. Period. I used to launch when I first started guiding on Detroit, on Saginaw Bay. I fished on the east side, and I fished out of Quanakesee. And I didn't fish a lot. I'd fish, one day out of four, I'd have a charter. So I used the Quanakesee launch. Oh my goodness, it's a 2-ramp launch in the middle of a little river. There were times I literally had to wait 40 minutes because there were 2 people in front of me. And coming out, I remember one time it was going to rain, and there were 6 or 7 people in front of us, and it was going to rain, and the first 2 guys get in, they tie up, and I'm like, dude, we're going to get poured on. And finally, I pulled my guy up to the end of the dock. 2 boats on each side. I pulled him up to the end of the dock. I said, go get my trailer. And he drove in, and he actually almost pushed the guy off the dock, and we got the trailer, and I drove up and gone, and we were tied up and gone and boat covered and in the truck before the rain came. There's still 8 guys out there, getting soaking wet. I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting when you don't have to. That just drives me nuts. Chris says, can you imagine a state's required? You know what? You'll never do it because the boat dealers would be jerks about it. I don't think you should be able to buy a boat without passing a class. Trailer backing being part of that. Yep. Trailer backing, dealership has to walk through a 15-point checklist, right? How to tie your boat up, how to launch your boat. I can't tell you how many guys I see with their trailers either all the way in the water or barely in the water, and they put on boots or whatever, they run their winch strap out, hook the boat at the end of the trailer, and crank. Boats are not designed to crank, or trailers are not designed to crank boats onto, guys. They're designed to be driven onto. There's a difference between power loading and loading under power. Learn how to drive your boat most of the way up. Then put your winch strap on. If it takes you more than 6 turns on your winch, you're not using your trailer properly. That's simple. You're not using it properly. So there you go. Yeah, Jeff says, screw up the ramp. Frankfurt, late August, about 5. You think Wyandotte is bad? Yeah, I can, dude, there's days I've sat in my boat and said, if I had a freaking paintball gun, there'd be a bunch of people with a bunch of paint on the back of their head because it's ridiculous. There are responsibilities to owning a boat, and knowing how to get it in and out of the water is one of them. Like I said, I'm sure I just made a bunch of people mad, but man, that's why I don't launch. I mean, that's why I go to a place and I stay. And the other thing, the conversation came up, Detroit River. I come in 12:15, 12:30 every day of my morning trip, and there is a line down the river to get out at Wyandotte. I come back out for my afternoon trip at 3:15, there's nobody. Why would you sit in line for 2.5 hours? You can go fish for 2 more hours and then get back on the trailer. Why is everybody in line to go home? At the same time, if I drove by a boat ramp and it was that crowded, I'd just keep fishing. But again, I don't have a time limit on my fishing. Like, unfortunately, some people have to have. Anyway, all right, done. I got to go home and take a shower. Get ready for lunch or breakfast. Breakfast 9 o'clock at Leo's in Burton. Love to have you guys there. We're gonna have a big crowd today. Thank you for joining me. Next Monday we will be on schedule. I'm gonna do coffee hour. There'll be no breakfast next Monday. We'll do coffee hour. Then I'm heading to the river. So there will not be breakfast, but there will be coffee hour at 7 a.m. next Monday, and then we'll figure out a schedule for Detroit. So anyway, all right, 3 things. As Duncan's, I just saw Duncan's name. And Craig made a point. He says his trailer, not so much. Okay, so if you've got a trailer that doesn't allow you to drive your boat at least onto partially, you need to fix your trailer. Extra set of bunks, set of guidons, something to get it to do that. Okay, all right, so find one thing you can do today to make your day better. Number 1. Number 2, reach out to your friends, say hi, schedule breakfast. You know, you want my opinion? We're open. Go to breakfast. Hug everybody. Number 3, be kind. I was a little frustrated today, so I'm sure I made somebody mad. But man, we all have to enjoy the outdoors together. Okay. Yes, happy Easter. Easter is Sunday. Remember, Easter is a big deal. Easter is a big deal. You want to talk about going through a year with literally no hope? Understand what Easter means. Resurrection of a crucified Savior. Amazing day. There is hope in Easter, and the hope that Easter brings all the time, every day of every year, no matter how good or bad it is. Remember what Easter is. I know a lot of you guys are going to go fishing Sunday. I'm making it a point to stay home and be with my family. I usually don't get to do Easter when it's in April. I usually don't come home. I'm going to be home for Easter. It's one of the things I'm going to put on my list from now on is Mother's Day, Easter. Those days are getting more important as I get older, as my parents get older. Those days become more important than a couple charters. So remember Easter. And if you're on the water, enjoy your day on the water. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you back here next Monday. I'm going to go take a quick shower, and I will see you guys at breakfast. Thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate it. Had a great time chatting with you. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Tuesday, Teach a Fishing Anglers Club. Question and answer on this month's topic. If you're not a member of the Teach a Fishing Anglers Club yet, become a member. Oh my goodness, we got some good stuff coming. We got some cool stuff coming in April that I have to get recorded in the next day or two, so you guys have content while I'm gone. I'm going to put a link right here to joining the Anglers Club. If you guys are not part of this club, you need to be. if you guys are part of this club, tell everybody how good it is and what we've been talking about over there. The fishing reports we got this week, freaking awesome. Guys posting fishing reports, exactly what they did, where they did it, what worked, what didn't work, with maps, with lines on it, where they actually fished. The fishing reports over at Teaching Fishing Anglers Club are getting amazing. The information is getting amazing. The questions are getting awesome. A new excitement over there at Teaching Fishing Anglers Club. If you're not part of it, join us right there. We've got a live Q&A tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. Okay? Yes, special thanks to Michael Ray for reworking the site and the format. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night. But yes, the Teaching Fishing Anglers Club. But again, we knew we had some problems, so we had to kind of come down to a spot that everybody got it. So we had to spend a lot of time reworking the site. A lot of time, a lot of money reworking the site. So, but it's a whole lot better, a whole lot easier to use. So anyway, all right. Tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. on the Teaching Fishing Anglers Club Facebook page. The only way we can do a live chat is on the Facebook page. So tomorrow night is 7:30 on the Teaching Fishing Anglers Club Facebook page. That's where we are tomorrow. We'll see you over there for the live Q&A. Have a great day, guys. Have a great week. Happy Easter. We'll see you next month.